Hey guys, it's Casual Cinema, where we rate movies from a casual perspective. We're your hosts, Jared and TJ, and today we'll be giving our review of Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, which
The
right
movie.
off the bat, I have to say, we really loved it. We saw it
Yeah.
at two different times. I think you saw it like a week. No, you saw it like a couple of days later than I did, but
Yeah. On a
you know,
Monday. I think what did you see it on Friday? And I saw
I
Friday.
saw, yeah, I saw it on opening Friday.
Yeah, and I saw it on Monday.
Yeah, but nonetheless, we very much both enjoyed it. And we stayed away from spoilers, which is also a good thing. So
Yeah.
yeah, and also just to say this is a spoiler review. So
Yeah.
if you haven't seen them,
Probably you probably put that in the title just to make
yeah, yeah,
sure,
yeah, yeah.
but I'm pretty sure everyone's, a lot of people have seen it already to the point where everyone's coming in for our spoiler review.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So if you just haven't seen the movie yet, just steer clear of this one and then come back. But just start off as opening question. I wanted to ask you, like, what are your first impressions of the movie?
Honestly, it was kind of weird because I didn't see the first one in theaters, because I remember when the first like trailer came out for the last movie, I was just kind of confused because I didn't expect them to make an animated Spider-Man movie, because when I saw on my YouTube notifications that there was a Spider-Man movie coming out, I'm thinking like, oh, Tom Holland, because what was that 2018? So like I thought maybe he was getting a sequel to Homecoming or something, but I didn't hear about that. But I was surprised. I was like, well, what is this? It looks like a video game, but no, it was an animated movie. So this is like one of the first, I want to say one of the first, like, non like Pixar, and like, Disney animated movies I've seen, and, my first impression is, it was really beautiful. Let me say this, the animators like did a great job, putting a lot of attention to detail. The different universes, had their vibrant colors. Like, Gwen's had like more of a pastel like, type of, scenery. Miles seemed a little bit more like the animation style that we're used to, and even like, in the one universe, I forgot which one it was. It was the one where Miles saves the one Spider-Man's dad and he wasn't supposed to. I forgot which universe that was. Um, but even that had like its own vibrant colors, to it, and I think that the animators did like a amazing job on this. And everybody, all the voice actors, seemed like they brought it. The voice actor for Miles Morales, like he stepped it up, in this movie. I was surprised to see how much screen time, Gwen got. I didn't expect this to be kind of like, like she was like a co-character to this movie. She really was. And then like, she gets the last shot of the movie. So, that's my first opinion is like, it was beautiful. The actors really brought it, for the voice actors, I should say. And, just overall, just a great story, and 2 hours and 16 minutes. I think sometimes it did feel a little bit like, when I was first watching it, it did feel like long because it was an animated movie. Because like when you're used to animated movies, it's like you're used to maybe like an hour 50,
Yeah.
maybe reaching 2 hours, but that was a good runtime for the movie. Like I said, there were some scenes where it kind of like dragged on, but that's overall my first impression of the movie. What's yours?
Yeah, and so, I kind of have, the same points as you. I pretty much agree. I really thought the cinematography was well done. I feel like the main purpose, one of the, sub purposes of cinematography is to for the shots themselves to tell a story. And I
Right.
felt like, with Spider-Man in particular, this movie in particular, as you're following, the story that we're hearing from the characters and the dialogue that we're hearing, the shots are also telling you another story. Their body language is also telling you another story.
Right.
And I think one great indicator of this is when Miles finally escapes from all the other, spider people, and
Mm.
he's back in what he thinks is his own, universe or timeline. And
Mm-hmm.
as he's trying to, speed and rush to get to his house, you can see like in the background all the jumbled thoughts that's going through his head. You can see
Mm-hmm.
trains flying everywhere. I
Right.
think you can see Dr. Octopus's tentacles, and it just is to show that his mind is going through a lot, because
Right.
he's trying to, help his dad and what he believes is alive in this universe.
Right.
And, just like how you mentioned, I also love the attention to details.
Mm.
This movie is very faithful to the first one, and it's one of those movies where there's really not a lot of plot holes. Like if you watched the first one and you understood it, it's going to tie in very nicely to this one.
Mm.
And just like, the spider. it's funny because I in like flashbacks I saw the spider glitch, and
Mhm.
in my head I'm like I didn't remember seeing it glitch, in the movie from 2018, and then I go back
Yeah.
and watch it, and it glitched, and so everything just ties in very nicely. There's a lot of details. I like how well done and how respectful they were of the different Spider-Man. Like they had
Right.
Spectacular Spider-Man, they had Tobey Maguire Spider-Man, snippets of
Mhm.
him. They had Andrew Garfield Spider-Man. Like they were just very respectful of all
Right.
Spider-Men. And it was honestly like a nostalgia trip, just seeing
Mhm.
all of it. So
Mhm.
I really thought this movie was well done. I really did. And I just want to add another thing. Speaking of details, I like how, towards the end where Spider-Man Miles meets Prowler Miles, you get to see, due to the Prowler Miles being around his mother more due to the dad's death, he develops a more of an accent, especially when he says
Mhm.
Morales. So
Mhm.
I just thought this movie just had tons of little details that you might not notice at first, but they just all add up. And
Right.
obviously the one I mentioned, it just is the tip of the surface. There's so many other details in this movie, but I loved it. I think
Right.
it's good to say we both loved it.
Right.
So is there any like particular spider characters that you liked or you had favorites?
Well, I mean, obviously, got to go with Miles here. I think that was probably my favorite spider, but I think other like besides like Miles, I really did like I believe it was it Peter B. Parker, the Peter that was in the first movie mentoring him. I really
Mhm.
liked his character because I really like the scene between him and Miles where he's like, I had this kid because of you, like you inspired me to become a father and all that stuff. I thought that was a really well done scene. I liked him in the first movie. I really liked him. He didn't really have a lot to do in this movie. He was kind of like, in the movie for like 5-10 minutes, maybe 15. But like that scene right there, really, you know, make him my second favorite, I guess. I think maybe like Gwen's up there as well. But and then the heartbreak, when he's been tracked the whole time with his tracker, and all the Spider-Men are coming for them because like they were having that little one-on-one moment, and then like I think Miguel comes over on the comms and it's like like we tracked down your location, like we're coming there now, whatever. So he's probably my second favorite Spider-Man in the movie. And I think that Miguel's Spider-Man 2099 was he was intimidating, and I think that he did a good job as a secondary villain. I think the Spot's going to be probably more of the villain in the part two of the movie,
Mhm.
or like this movie, and but I think Miguel did a good job, and the voice actor Oscar Isaac, Oscar Isaac is known to be like a very good actor, so for him to be able to go into voice acting and do that, he sounded like truly like a depressed person who felt like they had a duty on their shoulders, and the anger in his voice when he's telling Miles like you're an anomaly, you don't belong here, all that stuff. It just it's heartbreaking, I guess, in a way, because it's like how are you gonna tell that to a kid,
Yeah.
But I think he didn't undersell the moments. He like did a great job, as a voice actor, So what was your second favorite or favorite Spider-Man in the movie?
You know, I really liked it's funny because during the movie I didn't understand his character too much of what he was doing, but I feel like one that really kind of stuck out to me by the end was definitely Spider-Punk, Kobe.
Yeah, I can't believe I forgot about him.
Yeah, it's funny because it's like throughout the whole entire like throughout some parts of the movie, he's actually helping Miles. He's
Mhm.
like grabbing different pieces of technology in which
Yep.
later it's shown to he gave to Gwen's father in order for
Yep.
her to use as an alternate to the gauntlet devices that they had. And I also thought it was cool how when they trapped Miles in that sort of circular sphere trap,
Right.
told Miles to use his palms,
Right.
which he referenced when he first met him, when they
Yep.
were helping the other Spider, I forgot his name too, but Spider-Man from the other universe. So
Hmm.
I'd say he was my second, and obviously Miles is one. I
Hmm.
really did enjoy I did think that Spider-Man 2099 was intimidating,
Hmm.
especially in the like kind of beginning of the movie where he's helping Gwen fight Vulture, and
Hmm.
he like grabs Vulture by the face and he's about to like you can see his fangs pop out.
Right.
Looks like he's about to like eat him or drink
Yeah.
his blood or whatever. He has some sort of vampire thing going on, but I definitely say it's Miles, Spider Punk. Spider-Man 2099. Um, I thought that Spider Bite was cool. I thought
Oh yeah, yeah.
yeah, it was cool how she helped Miles. It was obviously good to see, the previous Spider-Man from the previous movie, like Spider-Man Noir,
Mm-hmm.
Spider-Man, Penny Parker, you
Mm-hmm.
know, people like that. So and also Peter B. Parker was good too. But I
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, I kind of had mixed feelings about him because, just like in the scene you were talking about,
Mm-hmm.
that scene kind of confused me because I don't know if he was trying to stall Miles or if he was
I don't think he was.
serious.
That, at least that's my opinion.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But nonetheless, I think he's still also a good Spider-Man.
Right, and you saw him at the end, with Gwen, trying to help, you
Yeah.
know, to help save his. I mean, that's really going to be interesting because it's really like, are you going to save his father or are you going to destroy his universe?
Yeah.
So I mean, I have a theory that, like, since he technically is an anomaly, as a Spider-Man, maybe him saving his father won't destroy his universe. But I mean, that's something that we have to wait till March 29th next year, to find out, so mm, yeah.
Yeah, and and another question I have too is how do you think that this Spider-Man film or this Spider-Man series so far stacks up against the other ones, the Tobey Maguires, the Andrew Garfields, the Tom Hollands, how do you feel like this stacks up against them?
Honestly, it's elite, man. Like, I think I really enjoyed like all the Spider-Man trilogies. Even though Andrew didn't get a trilogy, I think, besides like the Amazing Spider-Man 2, I thought the Amazing Spider-Man 2 was a decent movie. I liked that movie as a kid. Remember, I got the DVD for my 10th birthday, and then obviously Tobey Maguire's movies, that's full of nostalgia right there. The first movie I believe came out the year I was born. And I watched those movies growing up, and I was like 5, 6, 7 years old. And obviously Tom Holland's movies, I thought were better than a lot of people, felt about them. But I really felt like these movies right here, you know, really capture Spider-Man.
Yeah.
They don't really have to focus on anything. They capture on what it is to be Spider-Man, especially like, like the leap of faith scene from the last movie. And the whole like, I have people telling me telling me where to go, what to do, but I'm gonna do my own thing. Like just stuff like that. Like that's just like Spider-Man right there. And it's just like these two movies are just amazing.
Yeah.
Spider-Man's like a very fan favorite character, but these two movies, like if you really want to get into Spider-Man, like these two movies will definitely help.
Yeah.
Like I said, I think all the movies are like fantastic. Not fantastic, but all the movies are good in their own aspects. And like I think Tobey's trilogy is really good, and Tom Holland's trilogy is also very good. But like these two right here, and I'm pretty sure the third one's going to be thrown in there as well. These are elite. Like these truly are elite, friend. Like this is an elite. This is going to be an elite trilogy.
Yeah. And I kind of had to agree, it's funny because me and you, we have a lot of inside jokes when it comes to the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man trilogy, especially Spider-Man 3. That's kind of like our movie, with the cringy dance scene
Yeah.
um, and the fight scenes and stuff like that. But this movie is definitely, I say this movie is definitely up there, just going past Spider-Man in terms of one of the best, Marvel series.
Right.
I feel like I feel like a lot of times, some Marvel movies can be like, well, obviously they're not meant to be, related to because these are superheroes, they're fighting aliens and whatnot. It's nice to see kind of a refreshing story where you can kind of relate to the character. And that's why
Mhm.
Spider-Man has kind of always been a fan favorite within the comics because no matter, what you are, what race, creed, origin, you can always relate to him in a way.
Right.
And that's kind of what I liked about, this movie as well is you could get that teenage vibe from him.
Yeah.
In Tobey Maguire's movies, he was at that time he was obviously too old to even look like
Right.
a teenager. Like even
Yeah.
in the scenes, nobody looked like a teenager. They all look like some
Grown
teenagers
adults.
there look like 30-year-old 30.
Yeah. Like Flash, like he could have been a freaking data too at that
Yeah,
point.
he looked like a construction worker, but you know, that's what I like about this movie though. It's just I really liked Miles' personality. He had that teen feeling that I felt, when I was a teen, and stuff like that. And I say that like I'm old, I'm just turned 20, but I like the relatability that's
Right.
in these movies as well. That we can't get from like, some MCU movies like Avengers and whatnot.
Right.
So I think this is going to stack up to be very nice. I'm hoping
Mhm.
I do hear some reports that the third movie could be delayed, and honestly,
Mhm.
that's okay with me because I want it to be good. I want the ending
Right.
to be fulfilling, to match up with the first two movies. I feel
Right.
like it's only right, you
Right.
know. So I feel like this has a chance to be the best Spider-Man series, surpassing Tobey Maguire. I feel like
Right.
Tobey Maguire has the best one so far,
Right.
then Tom Holland, then Andrew Garfield.
Mhm.
And that's not to, throw shots at Andrew Garfield's acting. I mean,
He's
personality
fantastic.
wise, he is the picture perfect Spider-Man. It's
Yep.
just the script that was written around him was just kind of weird, but
Yeah.
um yeah, so I think it's finally time to get to, our final rating.
Right.
What do
Yeah.
you what our first our very first casual score rating. So what do you give it?
My casual score rating, honestly, you know, I'm debating here between 9 and 9.5. I'm just gonna go with 9.5 because I've been like wanting to see this movie again. Like it's like I said, it's beautiful. It's like it's just the tough choices Spider-Man has to make. I love like how he doesn't go on the status quo, like all this stuff. Like I was just smiling in the movie theater. It was a great time. The soundtrack is amazing. Score is amazing. All of it. Like it's just the twist at the end. It's 9.5 for me. I don't want to give anything a perfect 10, but like it's just this was dang close to me. Like this is 9.5 for me.
Yeah. I would have to be very similar in the same stratosphere. I would give it a 9.7. You know, I know that, really no movie can be perfect, but in terms of this movie, I just feel like while it may have some flaws, I feel like it's just not a bad movie. I feel
Right,
like if you think that this movie is bad, maybe there brings a question, do you really understand it? You
right,
know what I'm saying? And I feel like, just if you allow yourself to really understand the first one, really understand what's going on around Spider-Man in this movie, even if you still don't like it, I don't think you can say it's a bad movie.
right.
So, like I said, I'm a stand by what I said. I feel like it's a 9.7 in my eyes. This is a very good movie.
Yep.
It has, a good amount of rewatchability. This is a
Yeah.
movie you can watch, 2 or 3 times, I feel like, and still feel entertained, still feel the chills.
Right.
I've seen the chase scene where he leads all the spider people outside of the building, and that scene is just so like beautiful to me, you
Right.
know, especially when he confronts Miguel on the train. That's my favorite scene, and he does that little quote that he says. So, yeah, I mean, it's safe to say we both love this movie and we're very
Yep.
proud of it.
Yep. I agree.
Yeah.
I totally agree on this.
Yeah, and so is there any last thoughts you have about this movie?
I think just the last thoughts, it's just Spider-Man is, such a tragic character, and I think that the next movie could definitely be like, gearing up to be a sad one, especially since like, he has to make some tough choices, and like I said, it's gearing up to be, maybe a tearjerker for some people, depending on how they view these movies. So, I'm really excited for it, but at the same time, Spider-Man can get in your feels sometimes, with all these movies, he's just depressing ass character, all these deaths around him and everything. It's just who knows? He may not be able to save his father in time.
Mhm. Yes, that's a constant, when it comes to Spider-Man, is just death,
Yep.
So, I think that's all we have today. This is casual cinema. Stay tuned. We're doing the Transformers movie review next. I feel like that's gonna be a good one.
Hmm.
Just make sure, subscribe. We'll be getting up our Twitter, our Instagram, our TikToks up very soon, our social medias in general. But just more content on the way. We're very passionate about movies and we're excited to do this. So, we're your hosts, Jared TJ, Casual Cinema, we're out.
Right.